Hi guys! A few years ago, when I started with watercolors, I made this land creature. A very beautiful caterpillar, which is a real life existing species. And I was sure I wanted to make it in 3D one day, but as you know, I never dared until I started doll customizing because of a video from Marjana. And a few months ago, I came across these Leafy Seadragons. Have you ever saw such weird and beautiful creatures? They reminded me so much of the caterpillar, and I love making sea creatures. And I just found these two candle holders in a thrift store. So why not make this one instead? And while googling, I came across this drawing by Sylvia Strijk, and I thought this would be a pose I wanted to make. And for the first time, and for now the only time because I only have the one, I'm using a male doll for this project. Somehow I think of males when thinking of seahorses. And I like to challenge myself all the time, so male it is. This doll I used to experiment with molds and silicone. And he's still covered in the goo because it's hard to remove. And he also came to me without arms and hands and wobbly legs, so that too was one of the reasons I could use him here. I started prepping him by prying his wig off with a lot of force. Warming up the head, decapitate him, and giving his head an acetone soak bath for 2 days. After that, I let him dry for 2 more and repeated the process 2 times, so 12 days total. In the meantime, I cut off his legs, marked all the holes for all the leaves, and I forgot to remove all the silicone, so I did that first. I'm always all over the place, guys. I just can't stick to a logical order to do things. Is that an artist's thing? Because why do the holes now when I still have to make his entire body where also holes have to be? It's more logical to do them when the whole thing is done, right? But well, that's how I work. Sometimes it's a bit tiring. I don't learn from these things. Okay, moving on. I twisted a thick wire to make it sturdier and glued it to my man's butt hole. Yep, I said it, butthole. I glued the wire to his upper legs with superglue and baking soda. His hips and or thighs got some glue too, and I cut his abdomen to position him a bit nicer later. I wrapped the legs and wire in aluminum foil, very tight, and secured it with hot glue. I also put some foil back into the abdomen and glued both parts back together. Then I started to give his tail some ridges, some details, and I did this with hot glue. And I filled his abdomen with it. I repositioned his neck and filled that also with glue. I covered his whole body with my homemade clay and some magic. With the clay I wasn't very neat, because I think the Leafy Seadragon has a lot of whimsical shapes, so I tried to mimic that a bit. Back to my man's head. It's soaked for a while now, and even his face paint didn't come off. What kind of magic is that? But with some rubbing it went off okay. I harvested his ears for another project. He won't be needing them. Time to sand a lot. And then I noticed some cracks, and I realized the wire wasn't strong enough to hold everything in place. And I have to fix that somehow. And the cracks got some super glue. Time to figure out how many leaves I have to make, and how many small ones and big ones. And of course, how was I gonna make them? I first tried supergluing the shapes. Maybe filling them in with UV-resin? While editing this, I think, could have made it work, maybe. But at the time I thought, yuck. The hot glue melted because of the curing resin.
But this time I'm different. I mean, it all feels like it's glistening at a distance. Straight love can play, so full of resistance. Take a cue from those who know they've been here before to guide you through, to find the truth.
Just UV resin then. Maybe that would work, so I prepared some different colored resin and made some leaves. And in hindsight, I should have made them with a brush or something thin, but not with a wooden spatula.
Outside corner store, greeted by some folks I've never seen before. This time I smile different. Maybe I'll take a page from the sun and its lovely yellow rays.
Footage of the finished product were vanished somehow. Poof. But I didn't like them at all. So I took the polymer clay out and tried that. I gathered all the blues and greens I had. And I used an old pasta maker to knead and flatten everything. And tried to make some nice gradients. I cut every shape out of the clay with a lot of magic. And I hoped I had enough of it. Because at this point I still didn't know how many leaves I would make. I have to see it on the dragon later. I can't see it in my head, remember? Because of my aphantasia, I have to see it in real life. Yeah, this was some serious fiddling with clay, you guys. And now all the pieces had to be strengthened with wire without losing their shape. So that too was a lot of fiddling. Sometimes watering my fingers to prevent from sticking. trying all sorts of techniques and tools to get every shape a bit like I wanted.
I'm fine to be the world shining. And when it all feels like it's closing in at a distance, strength, love, and play as a form of resistance. Take a cue from those who know
I used some fishing wire for the hanging pieces.
find my truth. And when it all feels like it's closing in at distance, strength, love, and play as a form of resistance. Take a cue from those who know they've been here before to guide you through to find the truth.
This tiny blade pen came in very handy. I saved all the leftover colors just in case I needed to make more leaves. And also, polymer clay is easy to save for later. It stays good for ages. Maybe it dries out a bit, but that's easily solved by kneading it or putting some clay softener in there while kneading.
Open my eyes to see the day the universe is made for me. Take time to breathe in now. How about a bedtime to repeat the story once again? But this time I'm different. I mean, it all feels like it's closing in at a distance. Strength, love can play. It's a form of resistance. Take a cue from those who know they've been here before to guide you through to find the truth. Outside corner store, greeted by some folks I've never seen before. This time I smile different. Maybe I'll take a page from the sun and its lovely yellow rays. I'm fine to be the world shining. And when it all feels like it's closing in at a distance, strength, love, and play as a form of resistance. Take a cue from those who know they've been here before to guide you through to find the truth. And when it all feels like it's closing in at distance.
I also made a few tiny leaves just to be sure. Maybe I can put them somewhere.
Strength, love, and play as a form of resistance.
To make everything shiny and sturdier, I gave all a layer of UV-resin mixed with some mica powders. And again, some magical disappeared footage. I filled the base with cheap rice to make it heavy so it can hold up the dragon. And I secured the rice with a lot of watered down white glue and brushing off the loose ones when everything was dry. On the bottom of his tail I glued on some tiny leaves to hold him upright. This was one of the things I needed to do to make up for the weak wire. I gave my guy a base color of fluorish pink, fluor pink, and began to put all the leaves on him. And his head is almost on. It just needed 2 more days to dry, and I wasn't impressed by the shrinking. I don't have anything to compare him with now, but as far as I remember, he didn't shrink much. Oh, and I covered the rice with some sawdust, securing that also with watered down white glue. Time to make his arms complete. I gave him the same leaves as he already has everywhere. I tried to shape the connections as good as I could because the arms had to be baked without a doll, of course. Some cornstarch to prevent from sticking. I used some pebbles to keep the clay in shape while baking. Oops, just changing the music here. Otherwise I have to walk all the way back to my computer. So, painting time. I mixed some acrylic in the colors of the very bright Seadragon. There are blues, greens, pink, yellows in different gradients. And this is why I did the base color fluor pink. I hoped I could leave a bit visible. Sometimes I put more pink on where I covered too much. is going on with the magic? His face is all sculpted. I did this with my own clay, and when I did the bit where our ear's supposed to be, I put in some of these plastic leaves from a bonsai tree, from a plastic bonsai tree. And what I thought was so nice, when using a purple UV light, the pink seems to be like see-through. It gives the body some depth. Really nice. It's not really visible on the camera, sadly. And I just kept putting paint on until I was satisfied. Oh, and apparently I already put a lot of the leaves on too. Damn that magic. And then the time came I dreaded. His face. I was so stupid to put his head on before I did his face, and now it was hard to do a neat job. I also didn't know what I wanted here. The only thing I knew was the real Leafy Seadragons aren't very bright around the face, and I thought I'd do that too. And I wanted him to look to the side. So I tried a lot of things, hoping it wouldn't be too messy. It was so hard handling him. Well, my first try of the face wasn't a success, so let's do some leaves here. And I made a bunch of little ones, and I was sure to use more of the bonsai tree. A nice mix. And maybe it's obvious, but so now and then you'll see a cat hair in my work. It's inevitable. My workplace is not the cleanest in the world, but cat hairs really float everywhere, and that makes sense when there are 5 walking around. Meanwhile, I just glued everything on the body with super glue and resin. Is this enough? We'll see. And I touched up all transitions with the same color paints, blending everything together. And then I noticed he is slowly caving in. I knew this already, but I thought he was secure enough. So he's not. Really have to find a solution for this problem. In the meantime, I continued the painting with some acrylic markers. I didn't like it much, so I toned it down with softly placed brush strokes. I also continued with his eyes, but could not make it work. I gave him some fake eyes just above his real ones. You see that on a lot of animals. And I placed a lot of white and black dots all over his body. You see them on a lot of species, but also on my inspiration. They are just so much smaller, but I really like all dots, so mine is gonna have a lot of them. I also am gonna bedazzle him a bit. Some gemstones on the base and some on him as well. I glued on some real shells on the base to hide some things, but I really liked how it turned out. So, happy coincidence. And I started to put UV-resin on the whole body to make him shiny and more beautiful, but also to make him a bit sturdier, I hoped. And then I thought, why not connect everything together at the bottom? So I put a lot of layers of resin all over the leaves, body and base. Everything is coming together nicely now. I decided he needed more little leaves and I made some more, but I also used more from the plastic bonsai tree. I also made him that weird looking headpiece from wire and polymer clay and glued on a lot of little leaves. I covered all the little ones also with UV-resin mixed with mica powder. Okay, it's high time for his face now. I decided I make him a pair of 3D eyes, like a lot of these creatures have. I could not get a clear picture of them, but they are round, so I made indentations where his eyes needed to be. Made some eyes with eye molds in various sizes to pick the right one. The ones I made with my own clay were not successful, so I made them from UV resin. I colored them with the acrylic markers, and to make sure he's watching to the side, I made his pupil also at the side. Hopefully that would work. I covered the eyes with UV resin and glued them on. And I'm not showing, but I made a bunch of them to pick the best ones. Because I wanted a pair that looks almost the same, and almost all of them looked different. Oh my god. And they will have to do, because at this point I was so done with it. And did not know of another plan for his eyes. So, funny weird ones it is. And at this moment I put the second one on. I knew it wasn't in the right place, but I so didn't care anymore. And I also didn't know how to fix it. So sorry guys, but I threw in the towel. It was okay enough, okay? I glued on his headpiece, and I still felt it needed more little leaves. So I prepared more of the bonsai again. Same old, resin, mica powder, gluing it on everywhere.
But you think you're doing it wrong. High pressure underground. Your body's
And I'm still recycling and reusing things. That will never change.
body's on time. Body's on time. You made it. Pretty pictures from the upward bound. When the thunder hits, it doesn't make a sound. World's in a hurry just to be let down. Wearing your worry like a wedding gown. Your body
And the last thing I did was to give the whole thing a layer of resin, but I'll spare you that footage, but it makes him so much more beautiful, I think. And let's get to the glamour shots to see. And other than his eyes, I'm over the moon with him. I think he's so gorgeous. The Leafy thingies are slightly adjustable and the reinforcement worked perfectly. He is completely stable now. And I can already tell you, I will make him a lady friend right away. Not sure yet if she will be just as colorful. You'll have to wait and see, just as I. Or if you have some ideas, please tell me in the comments below. And I love to read what you think of my first mail project. Please let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. It's totally free and it will help me a lot. And I hope to see you next time.